Did you know there's certain things your guests just won't care about when it comes to your wedding? Well, don't worry, I've got you covered in this video. Hello friends, if we've never met before, my name is Durgy Spade, aka the Magic MC. That's because I'm a professional magician and a professional wedding MC, having performed at hundreds of weddings over the years. And you know what? In this series, Wedding Checklist Now, I bring to you tips, tricks, and checklists that you can use in preparation for your big wedding. Things that your guests just might not care about, I got you covered right after this.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and I have the absolute pleasure to be your host this evening.
Hey everyone, if we've never met before, I've got a free gift for you. I actually created an ebook of mistakes to avoid when planning your wedding. You can get it right now over at weddingchecklistnow.com. It's completely free, my gift to you. So let's get into it. I'm going to share with you 6 things your guests probably won't care about as much as you think. Number 1, the wedding invitation. I know it's common for people to create fancy invitations, using fancy cardstock, taking time to come up with just the perfect font, putting the perfect colors in there. All of this can certainly add up. I have even seen some wedding invitations that cost between $5 to $10 per invitation. And if you're sending out 100, 200 invites or invitations, that quickly adds up. I promise you, your guests will look at the invitation and most likely, unfortunately, it will end up in the trash. Now I want you to think about the last time you got a wedding invitation, where did it end up? Do you still have it around? If I asked you to go find it right now in your house, would you be able to find it? The truth is, it is enjoyed for a few seconds and then immediately ditched. A lot of the times the guests will put it into their personal calendar, a Google or iOS calendar, the details of the wedding, and once again, the actual invitation is trashed. There is no reason to go overboard with your wedding invitations. In fact, if you'd like, you can even do DIY invitations. All right, the second thing we want to talk about is the guest book. Turns out guest books can be hundreds of dollars. Now, of course, you can get a cheap one printed from like a Walmart or something like that. No problem if you want to do that, but if you're looking to save a few bucks, because quite frankly, half of your guests will probably miss the guest book and you probably won't be returning to it regularly to see who signed it. Most of the time it's just a signature or maybe with a bit of a comment. I mean, you're probably not in high school, and it to me very much feels like a high school yearbook, and it's just not a vibe I love. Having said that, let me make an exception. I did a wedding recently where the couple getting married absolutely loved basketball and they loved watching the NBA, and they were just big fans all around. So what they did was, instead of having a regular guest book, they had a basketball for their guests to sign. Now that makes it a little bit more unique and different, and it's very purposeful for the couple. So if there's something unique that you can take advantage of, like a basketball because you're big basketball fans, then I urge you to do something fun like that, as opposed to, a guest book which resembles so much a high school yearbook. Ceremony programs is the next item on the list. Again, your guests don't really care for how fancy the cardstock is and the colors and all that. There's no reason to go print hundreds of programs, one for every guest. A much simpler solution might be for you to grab a Bristol board or a chalkboard and create one big program that can be left outside of the reception hall. It's much easier to do than printing hundreds of different programs, and it's probably a little bit cheaper as well. All right, the next item I've got is a little bit controversial. I'm going to say the wedding cake. And hear me out, here's the thing. I have seen beautiful wedding cakes, amazing looking wedding cakes, but turns out half of the time, most of the guests don't even get to see it up close. Usually it's left next to the stage or, you know, somewhere in a corner where the guests just don't get to appreciate it. Now, I do think the bride and groom should take a few moments to cut a wedding cake, if that's something that you want. But again, I don't think you need to go overboard and have a 7-tier, multi-$1,000 cake, as I have seen done sometimes. Also, I hate to break it to you, I don't think I've tasted one wedding cake which I absolutely loved. Something you might even want to consider is baking your own wedding cake. In fact, I am hosting a wedding tomorrow night where the bride is creating her own cake and bringing it in. I think that also has a little bit more value to it as the guests understand and realize this was handmade by the bride or by the groom or maybe even a family member. So something you might want to consider. Slight exception to my rule, beautiful wedding cakes, of course, look great in pictures and videos. So if you do want to capture some great memories of the wedding cake, again, you might want to get something a little bit fancier, but it could literally just be a 2-tier cake, something nice and simple. It will still look beautiful, I promise you, without going absolutely overboard. The fifth thing your guests don't really care about is table linen. So if you're at a hall that's providing you different options for the type of cutlery, the type of linen that's available, and if these things have different prices associated with them, honestly, my personal recommendation is just to go with the simplest, most decent looking thing that they have. You know, your guests are not gonna think about how fancy the table linen is. So keep it simple, keep the cost low, and the money you save here can be spent in other areas that you might want to prioritize. The last thing you might want to consider skipping, because quite frankly, your wedding guests won't care about them and they probably won't even remember them, is the wedding favor. Now friends, I've done hundreds of weddings over the years and I see what types of wedding favors they are. And you know, I've seen little boxes of chocolates where there's like 1 or 2 pieces of chocolates inside. Sometimes there's like little memorabilia, like a candle or, you know, a trinket of some sort that has the bride and groom's name on it or with the date. I promise you, most of these trinkets either get lost, thrown out, and, you know, probably never seen again once they're taken home. So it's something you might want to consider saving your money on. If you were thinking of giving away a suite, again, I think it's much better to take the same money you were going to spend on the suites and put it elsewhere. So if you want to put it towards a suite table, you know, with desserts that your venue might provide, those are typically way better and nicer to enjoy in the moment versus, you know, 1 or 2 pieces of chocolate in a little box to be enjoyed at a later time. Well, there you have it. Those are the items your guests just won't care about. Now, if I've missed something, please comment down below and let me know what I missed. What else is there that wedding guests just don't typically care about? Once again, if you want your free ebook, don't forget to grab it at weddingchecklistnow.com. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the subscribe and like button so I can keep bringing you more videos like this for absolutely free. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.